Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about highly sensitive people. Highly sensitive people, also known as HSP, was originally researched by Elaine Aron. I will post her information at the end of this video. She also has a test to discover whether you may possibly be a highly sensitive person. I personally did research on highly sensitive people about a year and a half ago, and this led to the discovery that I was a highly sensitive, or I am a highly sensitive person. And for the longest time I had thought that something was wrong with me, and when I read her book it gave great insight to why I felt some of the things that I felt and why I am the way that I am. And this was probably my first real insight to really doing a lot of self-discovery. Highly sensitive people actually affects 15 to 20% of the people in the world, and it is very real. There are some people who will say that it's a bunch of BS and will say that it doesn't exist, but Elaine Aron's research shows that there actually is something in highly sensitive people where the brain is wired differently. Highly sensitive people tend to pick up and be much more sensitive than the rest of the population. We tend to pick up smells and visuals and sounds a lot easier than other people. We tend to notice the subtleties in things. And for instance, if a fire truck goes by or an ambulance goes by, a highly sensitive person is likely to cover their ears. This is something that's bothered me for years. If something noisy has gone by, a crying baby, it used to give me such anxiety, and I could never understand why I would have that sense and that feeling and why I would be so sensitive to it. Upon discovery of Elaine Aron's book, it helped me identify what was actually going on. And highly sensitive people also tend to be more analytical than the rest of the population. We have perfectionistic qualities. We also tend to need to withdraw from people, and there's actually a bit of a misconception that highly sensitive people are introverted, and this isn't true because 30% of highly sensitive people are actually extroverts. I'm an extrovert myself, so I can relate to this. Where this can actually be a bit of an internal struggle for a highly sensitive person is because there is that need to withdraw, and there is that need to recharge and replenish and be by ourselves. If we're an extrovert, there's that constant pull of wanting to be out with other people and then wanting to replenish and recharge and be by ourselves. I've had situations over the years where I've committed to doing something, committed to going somewhere, maybe a weekend getaway with some friends, and it comes time to go do it, and I was dreading it, and all I wanted to do was stay home and just stay in my bed all day. And this is something that highly sensitive people can generally relate to, just finding solace in a dark room or laying in bed and just withdrawing from the rest of the world, because we do tend to be quite empathic. We do pick up other people's energies and feelings and feel them as though they are our own. I'll talk a bit more at the end where you can do a bit of psychic protection in order to help with that. Highly sensitive people do not do well working for people who want to micromanage or who want to dictate how things need to be done, and they don't necessarily do very well when they have time frames and deadlines that they have to finish multiple things in. They actually tend to do worse when they have a boss or an employer who's wanting to watch over their shoulder and see how they're doing things and micromanage. Highly sensitive people, because we are perfectionists and because we are very analytical, and we also are very creative because we do pick up on those visual, aesthetic subtleties that are there, we actually tend to generally excel in whatever it is that we do. And if we are free to express this, we can be an employer or boss's best friend. We generally tend to be hardworking and loyal as well. So though we tend to be more sensitive, I think that our skills and our abilities make up for what may be perceived as weakness. An employer or a boss can also learn to work around this if they sense or get the feeling that one of their employees is a highly sensitive person. HSPs generally tend to make great leaders. They tend to also do well as entrepreneurs. They tend to do well as doctors, psychologists, social workers, nurses, people in positions where they're having to mentor or relate or help other people because of the fact that they can empathically feel and understand what other people are going through. They can relate and they can have compassion, and they can be much more aware of what the other person is going through without that other person generally having to say much. Highly sensitive people in relationships tend to kind of dive in head first, and because we are feeling-based people, we generally just tend to go with our feelings first instead of actually really sussing out the details and all the little qualities about the person in the relationship, because we go with our feelings and how we feel about being with that person. However, this is a bit opposite of what we will do in our life, because if we're a highly sensitive person, we'll generally tend to really pick out all the details and notice all the details before we'll actually make a decision on something. So this can be a bit of a slowdown on what type of risks we're willing to take. And but again, if we've got that extrovert side to us, the extrovert in us wants to be a bit more risk-taking and wants to feel a little bit more vivacious than the introverted side that needs to recharge, replenish, be with ourselves and withdraw. Highly sensitive people, some of the things that they can do in order to help themselves and help the people that are around them and people around them that they can do is meditation. I feel is one of the things that for anybody, doesn't matter whether you're highly sensitive or not, I feel is a great tool to really getting inside, dealing with, calming down, because highly sensitive people do tend to become overwhelmed and overstimulated very easily because we are so sensitive to everything that is around us. We're picking up stuff that the average person doesn't necessarily notice or pick up. We're not weird, and we're not different, and we're not, we're not that rare, because again, there's 15 to 20% of us. But what you can do if you are a highly sensitive person is you can just be aware of this fact, and meditation will help ground you and center you and feel a little more calm and aware of your surroundings so that you're able to cope with that a bit more. People outside of us that are in relationships with us, you can just be aware of this fact and be understanding of this fact. If you are a highly sensitive person in your relationship with a critical or another perfectionistic person, you do want to make sure that you communicate how you're feeling about that person's criticisms. And if you are a person that is generally critical, you may want to reassess, reevaluate, and work on that part of yourself. If you are in a relationship with a highly sensitive person, an HSP person is more likely to take any sort of criticisms very personally and not see that as separate of themselves. Whereas someone who knows that criticisms are never personal, they're always the other person's issues that are just kind of coming out at us. So you can just be aware of this. Highly sensitive people in the workplace, if you communicate with your boss, make your own deadlines, communicate with your employer, say I feel much more comfortable if I set this deadline for myself for this. That will help ease some of the stress and some of the overwhelm that we feel in the workplace. And also just if you are an employer, understanding, if you have an HSP person, that you working over them and micromanaging or watching over their shoulder will actually cause them to perform worse than if you just let them be. Again, HSP people are very, very, very skilled and very good because they are analytical, they are perfectionists, and they do pick up subtleties and notice things and can make recommendations for your business that you may, or other people in your business may not notice, because they are noticing all those little things. And so they will really shine and they will really perform well if you allow them the freedom to do so. Highly sensitive people want to also avoid things like caffeine and processed foods. I know for myself, I'm very sensitive to different things, and those can make HSP people very moody or irritable. We can have extreme reactions to things that just don't sit well with our body because we are so sensitive. So the more pure whole foods that we can eat, the better. And that is something that kind of works for everybody, not just HSP people. The other things that you can make sure that you do is get enough rest and get your sleep and get exercise. HSP people, it helps to really exercise, be out in nature. You'll also find some solace being around large bodies of water, or even just a stream or a river. There's something that works really well with HSP people, being around bodies of water, that is very soothing and very calming. So that's something that you can do as well. Make task lists. Break things that are big into smaller tasks so that it doesn't seem so overwhelming and seem so daunting. Make sure to take that time away from other people to withdraw and recharge and replenish. Find creative outlets for your sensitivities and your expressions that you do have. And if you do feel that you or somebody else is a highly sensitive person, or there's some question there, please do check out Elaine Aaron's website. Also, feel free to go to her website where there's a questionnaire. Again, I'll post both of those links on this video. You should probably see them there on the bottom. And if you do have questions, please feel free to contact me, Stephanie, at uzimahealth.com. And I'm always open to your feedback, your questions, and I'm here to help you in any way that I can. So if you like my video, please feel free to post, share, comment, like, and I hope that this helped you, and have a great day and lots of Uzima. Bye!